Well, Freeman, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com, talking to you about how to beat the odds in terms of business success, how not to fail. You don't want to fail. Failure is not feedback. Failure in business is terrible. Okay, it means that you're taking your savings, your life savings, or whatever it took you 2 to 3 years to save up from your job. You fail. Now you've got to go get a job again. That whole cycle could set you back 7 years. You know, another 2 or 3 years before you're able to get that money up. It's really terrible. Just like you don't want to fail in a marriage, man, and go through a divorce in your mid 40s with half your assets gone and paying alimony and child support for indefinitely. It's not something you want to do. Okay, and something really important to understand before I get into these stats is that I would not recommend entrepreneurship for the vast majority of people. But this channel's not for them. They're not watching personal development. They're watching cat videos on YouTube or Taylor Swift videos or whatever. Because the odds of success are so low, you really have to be a different type of individual. So I'm going to give you the conservative stats. You might have heard a lot of these different stats. I'm going to give you the conservative stats. 80% of businesses fail within 3 years, 92% within 10 years. I've heard as high as 90% within 3 years. Okay, so let's say within that 10-year period, 90% of businesses fail. Of those 10% of businesses that succeed, 64% make less than $100,000. So you're looking at the vast majority of these businesses, will not make more than $1 million in sales. Okay, and the revenue is not important. The take homes is more important. But most people who succeed have basically created a job for themselves that pays them, less than 100,000 after taxes. Which, if you're living in the West and maybe you're trying to raise a family on that, is not a whole lot of money. And this is because, for the most part, they're in the wrong vehicle. I mean, there's a street below me. I could do a walking tour of my neighborhood, and I would start 0% of the businesses that I see. 0%. Okay. There's a real estate agency 2 blocks over there. It's in a nice office. There's nice foot traffic. It's in a nice, well-lit area. That's a business I would consider starting. If I wasn't already in this business, I'm not doing 2 businesses again. That's a dumb idea. But that would be the only business that I would start. Okay. But there's no one outside flagging you down. I've walked by that building hundreds of times. There's no one outside selling. Okay. I can tell right now that it's a decent business to start, but they're not executing at a high level. Okay. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who walk by that, and no one's outside selling or flagging them down or trying to pull them inside. Okay. And this is why most businesses fail. One of the reasons is they're not doing outbound. So, my friends or people ask me why I'm, what the drive is, why I work as hard as I do. Even though I've got myself into a comfortable position, dude, I'm scared. Okay. I know those stats, and it's not just about getting wealthy, but your business has to be expanding and revenue has to be going up every year. So that it's not dying. Okay. Businesses don't die overnight. They're either getting stronger or they're getting weaker. They're either growing and expanding or they're contracting. There's no neutral. And neutral is illusion. If it looks like your business is maintaining, that business is dying, gravity brings a flat line down. You have to be adding income to your business every year. Which means you eventually hit 7 figures at some point, right? You eventually become part of that 0.01%. And that's the best insurance policy. The best defense is a good offense to continually, as long as your business is continually expanding, that your business is safe. That you're keeping up with competitors and improving and taking market share from them. If it's neutral or if you're losing ground, that your business is in trouble and you're getting closer to that dog pile, to that trash heap of businesses. None of these businesses that I'm looking at in this neighborhood are going to exist within 20 years. These restaurants, with the bad service, these little beauty salons, all these things, vast majority of them aren't going to exist. So you're either moving closer towards that, closer towards failure, or you're moving closer towards success. Okay? Which is why the first thing you have to do is work like you're a fucking immigrant. You know, I was watching a couple of these podcasts of, you know, these two guys from Iran who came to America in the mid 80s. And they're living in station wagons with their whole family or whatever. And by the time the guy's 16, he's out doing direct sales, and they're animals, and they're 24/7 because they've been through so much pain. Okay, vast majority of you guys, if you're in North America, you're lazy, you're soft, you're spoiled. That's how I was raised in comparison, and I was lower income than a lot of people. I had more pain in my life than a lot of people, but not compared to guys that came over to this, to North America and had to scrap to get by, who you don't have to motivate them. They're just savages from day one. So you need to work like an immigrant. That's the first thing that's going to prevent you from failing, because make no mistake, let's say the total failure rate across 20 years, maybe it's as high as 94%. You're not competing with those guys. They're failing and they're working average hours. You're competing with the businesses that survive and thrive. Okay, and make no mistake, they're going to be working hard as well, because they understand this game. They're trying not to fail. They're trying to expand their empire. So you got to be able to keep pace with those guys, and you've got to be able to put in the work effort, until you've made your millions or whatever it is, and maybe you slow down in your 50s or something like that. But until you built up that snowball, you've got to work like an immigrant. The second thing that most people don't do is outbound sales. Door-to-door, cold calling, all that fun stuff that nobody wants to do, because there's another chapter in the business failure book that's coming up. You can't quite see it yet. It's AI and it's automation, and a lot of industries should be scared. I just watched a video of a marketing guy on YouTube talking about how JP Morgan Chase has bought a company that does artificial intelligence copywriting, and they're using it. So AI is doing copywriting now, and it's 2019. That's only going to continue. Okay, and he was trying to make the case for it's not a big deal. Copywriters aren't going to be in trouble, dude. That is a big deal. It's a problem. I could imagine that the AI is also doing online marketing, right? So if you have a social media marketing agency, you do Facebook and Google ads, you very well could be competing with companies running AI on deep learning platforms, which I don't even understand how that works. I don't think, people programming these machines know how it works, because deep learning takes over and they don't fully understand the AI. And that's only going to continue without a doubt. Now, doesn't mean to say that there won't be room for human copywriters, and you won't be able to sell your copywriting services, and you won't be able to sell your marketing services, or maybe it becomes about your cleaning company or your copywriting company or your marketing company. You manage the AI because you built a war chest or whatever. I'm a lot more confident in my business, the personal brand. I don't think I'm going to be replaced by a robot anytime soon. But one thing that I would predict is that you're not going to be able to build a business for free like I did. I originally started back in 2012 writing articles. Within the course of 3 years, it went from basically most people reading articles online to 80% of content being video. So I started doing videos and continued to do a lot of videos, because that's what the marketplace dictated. And I'm sure that as time goes on, I'll have to do videos in 3D or holograms or whatever the fuck needs to be done. I'm going to do it. But I'll probably have to utilize AI at some point. And the cheap ads that are available now probably aren't going to be available 10 years from now. Okay? you're probably not going to be, there's already a lot of competition, but I mean, add 10, 15 years to that. How many people are going to be on YouTube or whatever the platforms are? Are you even going to be able to get noticed without throwing money at it? In the same way that like you'd have to throw money to start a television channel. I don't know. I hope that new people will always continue to be noticed. But I don't want to take that chance, right? So that pushes me even further to the point where I'm 37 now. At 47, I really want to have that massive war chest accumulated, so I can spend the necessary money on marketing or copywriting, even if I'm, it might be a case where for me to be able to compete, I've got to run an AI machine to choose the titles of my articles or my videos, and give me an idea of the kind of topics that are going to keep people interested. I hope that's not the case, but it's certainly an unpredictable landscape to a degree. So my mentality is, get it while it's hot right now. Like, well, I'm just able to get 200,000 views a month between my site and my YouTube for free, just blasting this content to you guys every day. I mean, this is a gold mine as far as I'm concerned. So I'm trying to get as much of it as I can, as much market share as I can. I'm putting the ad campaigns together, the paid ads, knowing that 10 years from now, I might be paying 10x for the ads, or I might, it might cost me 30 grand, 50 grand just to be able to get what I'm getting for free now, or to be able to maintain my business and be able to sell those products in that ever-changing and competitive landscape. Guys like Frank Kern will tell you now is the golden age of online advertising. Basically doing what he calls intent-based branding, basically, which is what I'm doing, which is organic content, putting that out organically, and then you're able to have this list of people to retarget video ads to sell your products, or sell them, for free, like my coaching and ebooks and stuff sell themselves. So you got to have that mentality, dude. But here's the saving grace to all that, right? Cold calling still works in 2019. When I started my career in sales, before I quit, back 12 years ago or whatever it was, they were saying cold calling was going to be replaced. It's not. As long as people have work phones, okay, as long as people have cell phones, cold calling is going to be viable. And so is popping into offices of businesses and selling stuff. And so is going to door, to wealthy people selling high ticket services, whether that's real estate or insurance or whatever. The disruption is much more going to be with the online guys, because that's a game of data, and AI will factor more into that. But at the end of the day, reaching people will be disrupted. But at the end of the day, if you've got the balls to approach people in person, or you've got the balls to do cold calling, like that basically, dumb marketing and sales in comparison to AIs running copywriting campaigns, you're going to be good because you're willing to do outbound. If you're willing to work hard, you're willing to do outbound, and you're in a high margin service business, and you're doing everything you can to learn about marketing, to learn about sales, to learn about closing. If you want a little help with that, check out my book, How to Sell, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. Grant Cardone's got some good sales training on that as well, the Cardone University. There's a ton of free resources on this stuff, and you should absolutely be an expert or moving towards that. But if you're willing to do outbound and you're willing to go hard now, you're going to be good. But you have to think like, I'm trying to be part of that. First of all, I'm trying to be part of that 6% that succeed. And then over time, I'm trying to be part of that 0.01%. Okay. Those guys who are able to, generate 7 figures, or generate like take home 250, 300, 400, continue to do that over time. Take that money, maybe put it into you know, back into ads, and then when you can't put any more back into your business, you put it into some investments because the business is either growing or it's dying. So you have to have higher goals than some people who just say, you know, hey, I just want to make 5,000 a month. That business is going to fail because it needs to be constantly expanding to prove that it's succeeding, and to build up a war chest and to prepare if you know you're going to have lean years or something changes in the competitive landscape or AI comes up. You're going to be there. If you have money, you're good. Okay, if you have money and AI changes things radically 10 years from now, if you've got money, if you've got a war chest, you're good, man. Because your job's not dependent on that. The entrepreneur's not going anywhere. It's the specialized type of worker, you know. So you'll be able to pay the company running the AI or whatever to do whatever service you need for you to sell your real estate or your coaching, your insurance, or whatever the fuck you need to sell. So basically, you need to work to beat that failure rate. You need to be in the right vehicle. Okay. Just by not starting a product-based business, you've given yourself a heads up or a head start because you've got no inventory. Be in a high margin service business, high ticket service business, because in that type of business, you can scale to 250 by yourself, in my opinion. I know for sure 6 figures. And for most industries, I think you could do 250 on your own, 250,000 a year without having to hire an employee, because outside of like inventory and product cost, which you're not going to accrue in a service business, your next biggest costs are going to be payroll and overhead. And you can do 250 in a high ticket service business without an office and without employees, which is what you want. You want a hyper profitable business before you start bringing people on that are potential expenses. But I mean, it's also a situation where, you know, the employees that you bring on can all be profit sources. And by profit sources, I mean people who can sell. You know, I worked for a $40 million a year company selling as a currency broker. Our branch did 5 million, and everyone in that branch was a profit source. Because they basically there was no one but sales guys, and we were responsible for managing all the client accounts, you know, making sure there's one delivery driver for like 40 grand a year or whatever, making sure that all the clients were managed. There was no HR. Everyone was a profit source. Whereas a lot of companies, there's secretaries, there's HR, there's, you know, editors. Those are all expenses and liabilities. Profit sources are people who sell and bring revenue in. Everyone else is an expense. So in a high ticket, high margin service business, one, you don't need to hire an employee for a while, so you can stack your cash and build your war chest and all those good things. And as you do, you can hire somebody who's going to be a profit source from day one. You know, you hire someone to handle sales and clients and perhaps some other responsibilities. And, you know that 60 grand you're getting from them is bringing you 200,000 a year or whatever those numbers may be. So that's something that you want to do. You definitely want to be in the right vehicle. You want to work like an immigrant, not like you're afraid and you're constantly stressed or whatever, but like, you're serious, right? You are trying to get into the 1% of businesses, that do 7 figures. You're trying to take home 250, 300, 400 grand. You're trying to beat the odds significantly for the rest of your life. And work output is something no one can take from you. And it's something that's totally in your control. If you're working 3 hours a day versus 9 hours a day, that's going to be triple the results. You're going to get there 3 times as fast. You're going to be out competing your competitors. And it just gets you that much closer. The other thing is sales and marketing, both outbound and inbound. Outbound's not going anywhere. Cold calling is going to be here 10 years from now. It's not going to be disrupted, in my opinion. Neither is door-to-door. Neither is showing up to businesses. It's what I did for a living. I don't do that anymore, thank God. But just so you know, I'm not telling you to do something that I haven't already done. That's how I made my living. I I built this business so I didn't have to do that. But, you know, if I was trying to get a different type of business off the ground, then I know that that's what I would do. And then you take that money and, you know, you put it into inbound marketing. And again, it doesn't matter if it's AI or, you know, whatever marketing, if it's a LinkedIn campaign or whatever, you get a marketing company, you hire someone to do that. As long as you have money, you're good. As long as you have money, you're good. And your money's going to come from the outbound, and it's going to come from the high ticket, high margin service business. And then you can afford to set up an inbound machine. And if you want to add organic content marketing like I do and build a brand, I think that's a great idea. Just, you know, don't expect that to pay off for a couple of years. Most likely, I mean, you can blow up quicker, but most likely it's not going to pay off for a couple of years. In some industries, it's not, you know, 100% the best move. I mean, those are the tactical issues, and this is kind of a lot of points that I want to cover, but the main thing that I wanted to cover was like, you know, you got to look at the odds of this stuff. And I just see guys, entrepreneurs that are, you know, talking to me like, well, where do I find the motivation? I'm like, dude, failure is a motivation, not going back to working a job. That should be the motivation. Like, you got to understand the success rates. Like, the business that you want is 0.1%. Okay? That's the odds. And that's what you got to be thinking about, you know, every day that you wake up, trying to continue to beat those odds, man. And it's totally doable. You just have to be doing all the right things. You have to be doing things that all the other people won't do, making the sacrifices that other people won't make, constantly asking yourself, what am I not doing? What else could I be doing? Because the money's in your mistakes, right? The money that you don't have is in the things that you're not doing. But I mean, you're on point with all those factors that I covered, man. You're going to be good. Just keep that in mind. Use that as motivation. If you need help with this stuff, though, check me out, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. Something maybe I could help. Even if, you know, you're already doing 6 figures, 7 figures, you know, you need a kick in the ass or you need some insight, I'm there for you, man. You know, if you're a young guy starting out, because I've got guys from multimillionaires to 18-year-old guys who are living with their mom. I'm trying to talk to all of you. I don't have one specific target audience. Every video is for, you know, a different type of person a lot of the time. So if you're sort of a rookie starting out, I think you'd find my book, How to Sell, would be useful. You can find that at revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. As always, though, much love to you. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section.